brought to you by Devil Dogs Brew and Beans, where you can get your Gators Breakdown private label coffee. Many flavors and options available at devildogsbrewandbeans.com/Gators Breakdown. I'll go to some questions that I got in the Q&A this week. Jason Fletcher, is there a score or number this week that the Gators can put up that will quell some of the negativity towards Billy and staff? I mean, for one day, make me feel better if you go out there and put the number on Vanderbilt. It won't make me feel any better about Florida going to South Carolina the next week. I mean, that's a completely different storyline, completely different angle of Florida struggling on the road. Florida playing well at home versus Vanderbilt. And I said this in the preview. I mean, the negative certainly outweighs the positive here. A loss is huge. It's detrimental to what you're trying to do. It will weigh more than a win will, because I think as we chronicle what's going on with Billy Napier so far, we would wonder, okay, well, can you go get 2 wins in a row? Can you go get a win on the road? So I think, I would, in the bubble, I'd be happy with name your score versus Vanderbilt. But looking forward, I don't think it means much in the big picture.
So what do you think is, like, what is the road issue? Like, I just find it hard for them to be, like, pretty good at home, and then it just all goes away on the road. Like, it just blows my mind. Like, I was at the Kentucky game, and they just look like a completely different football team.
Yeah, I mean, I know they were asked about it, and even Shamar James saying, the noon start maybe had something to do with it. I mean, if it did, I mean, okay, if that's the truth and it did, that's a problem in and of itself. I don't know why they can't get up for it. I mean, look, I think some of it is, some of the teams you've played. I don't think all of the road losses you scratch up to that. Last year's FSU game, Florida was up for that game. Just FSU was better last year. But we could clearly tell in that game, Florida was up for it. Now, don't get me wrong. That's a game you got to be up for. It is FSU on the road. Florida was up for Tennessee last year. But to see that, once again, that's a rival. They don't have a problem getting up. They may not win the game, but they have no problem playing competitively against Tennessee on the road and Florida State on the road last year. Of course, the one that win versus A&M last year, but certainly had an issue against Vanderbilt last year on the road. And then so far this year, we've seen it. Utah, I don't know if they weren't up for that game. It's first game of the season, all that. I won't necessarily say they weren't up for that, but there's an issue of it's more than just the issue of not being up for a game. The prep that goes into it as well, where we see the penalties, we see all the mistakes. So it does seem like the road issues aren't necessarily all tied to getting up to play. Now, that's part of the preparation, but the other part of the preparation is the penalties. They're not in it mentally, not necessarily not ready to play, but not in it mentally of making sure they're doing everything right to avoid the special teams mistakes, avoid the penalties that ramp up when Florida's on the road. So, but that's something we wanted to see that was different this year than last year. And I hate to keep going back on it, but that was something that Billy Napier wanted to see too. And telling the team after the Tennessee win, let's not do what we did last year, but yet here we are seeing it all over again.
Dave, do you think any of that mental part of it might come from the change, the sudden change in the trip to Utah? This being only our second trip.
I mean, if we didn't see some of the same issues last year, sure, but I think that's why I'll speak for me. That's one reason I'm kind of aggravated with some of the things. The special teams issue. Okay, it's not that Dijon Johnson, a true freshman, makes a mistake like that. Okay, I expect true freshmen to make a mistake like that. But when you pair it with all the other special teams mistakes we've seen this year, that's where it rubs me the wrong way. So when you go on the road and you look like what you do on the road.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not trying to just talk about special teams here. And I know that you're trying to come back to this, disorganization that's going on the road. But
I mean,
with the missed tackles,
the
missed tackles and the comment, about we weren't ready to play at noon, like that's stupid shit right there. Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. God damn it! I told you I was never going to do that again.
we also don't have a lot of players on this roster that know how to win on the road.
Yeah,
we're so young.
In the last 3 years.
Yeah,
the last 3 years were awful on the road. So I don't know how many veteran leadership players we kind of have on this team that know how to prepare for a road game and how to go out and win one.
That's a very good point. I mean, you bring in Mertz at quarterback, and of course he's got the experience, but around that, not much. No, not winning experience. You're right. But he's enough not to get rattled. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Mertz was rattled at all. I'm just saying, I think, you went in the portal to get some experience. You do have guys that shouldn't get rattled, and it doesn't necessarily, translate into wins like we are seeing. It's not. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there may be this threshold of learning to win on the road. So, we'll have another chance in a couple of weeks when Florida, or a week and a half when Florida goes to South Carolina. So we got to wait on that one. But, until they go out there and do it. I mean, they did it once versus A&M, of course. So that didn't amount to much when you 2 weeks later go lose to Vanderbilt. But I mean, that's probably one last year that stings the most too. I mean, I don't think it matters if it was road or home last year against Vanderbilt. You don't lose that game.
Yeah, I was at the Vanderbilt game too. I don't think I've been to a game that they've won since Tim Tebow was the quarterback. I'm sorry, everybody. But yeah, I wonder, that kind of made me start thinking, because there are so many young guys that are playing. I wonder if that's like a part of, like, maybe Billy needs to hit the portal just a little bit harder, just to get like some juniors in there that played like in big stadiums or something like that can kind of like be some leaders on the sidelines, like let them know, like, you're gonna get punched in the mouth a couple times, but just keep playing ball.
In some ways, I think that's there. I mean, the offensive lineman, of course, had experience. Mizuka at Baylor had experience, and Hudson had experience at FIU. So nothing like going on to SEC on the road in the SEC. So that's a bit different. Mitchell and Moten on the defensive side of the ball at Ohio State and Michigan have been in that situation as well. So I do think there are examples where they did try to do that a little bit. For some of the position groups, but Pierce Hall at Arizona State as well. And now him having a year at Florida at the same time. So there are. I mean, we can pinpoint in some places where they have guys who have done that and been in those road environments. But yeah, it is a good point. This is a young team still, and learning to win on the road is one of the next steps for those guys. Gators Breakdown Plus, starting at $3 a month. Link is in the description, and you get access to all these features. You get extra episodes. You get access to the Discord server where you get to have text chats. Hey, another big bonus, ad-free Gators Breakdown episodes, Q&As, giveaways, custom shout-outs, all that at Gators Breakdown Plus. Link is in the description. Come join us.